At first glance, the inhospitable Arctic appears barren and empty. But there are places in the frozen north where wildlife abounds. In the air, on the ice, and in the water. Uniquely adapted to the frozen north, a surprisingly vast array of species forms the links in an intricate and fragile food chain. Here, seemingly safe from the ravages of the industrialized world, life moves to a rhythm thousands of years old. Or is the picture as idyllic as it appears? How much effect, for instance, has the human presence had on the life of the walrus? One of nature's most perfect Arctic machines, it is just as much at home in these frigid waters as the killer whale, that leviathan of the dolphin family, whose name belies its tightly knit social structure and highly evolved ability to communicate. Journey with us to the dawn of time for a closer look at these two remarkable and ancient creatures, the walrus and the killer whale. Lancaster Sound is a link in the Northwest Passage, the legendary seaway through the Canadian Arctic archipelago. But Lancaster Sound is far more than a name on a chart. It is a wildlife haven on a scale rarely seen elsewhere in the world. At certain times of the year, it becomes a staging area for flocks of migrating gulls and ducks. Among them, the king and common eider and the black guillemot. Some species plunge 125 feet to feed on clams and mollusks. For the privileged observer, the spectacle of thousands of waterfowl wheeling and diving through the air is an awesome sight. Cod, algae, kelp, and plankton abound in these waters and support not only the birds, but also the Arctic's marine wildlife. The ringed seal population has been estimated in the millions. They feed on cod and crustaceans, and when fully grown, can measure up to 5 feet long and weigh nearly 150 pounds. Through holes they keep open with the claws of their foreflippers, the seals haul themselves onto the ice pack to rest. Virtually defenseless when out of the water, the seal is in a constant state of alert. It is a key element in the Arctic food chain, hunted relentlessly by the polar bear. The bear eats only the blubber, leaving the rest of the carcass for lower species. Another enemy is actually a distant cousin, the walrus. This mass of wrinkled hide and blubber is particularly partial to the ringed seal, preferring to prey on young, vulnerable pups. Walruses spend much time vying for space on a small section of ice. What makes the chosen spot so desirable is a mystery. The walrus has been hunted for thousands of years by the Eskimo, for whom it is a traditional source of clothing and food. And even today, the hunt remains a cornerstone of Eskimo culture. Walrus is also prized for its tusks. Tusk carvings are a source of revenue for many Eskimo communities. Present in both sexes, but more slender in the female, the tusks are elongated canine teeth, which also help the walrus to haul itself out of the water. In fact, its generic name, Odobenus, means tooth walker. Each spring, thousands of migrating Pacific walruses gather around St. Lawrence Island in the Bering Sea, 200 miles from the U.S. mainland and 45 miles off the coast of Siberia. At the northwest tip of the island, the 400 human inhabitants of Gamble wait anxiously for the ice to break up. Only then can they begin the annual walrus hunt. Everyone is involved in the preparations, though only a few go out in the boats. In earlier times, the island's Eskimos depended on hunts like these for their very survival. The hunt is an odd mixture of the old and the new, ancestral knowledge of the ice and the prey, supported by modern equipment and firearms. Boats work in pairs, scouring the drifting floes for prey. The hunt is a spiritual as well as a tangible event. According to an Eskimo legend, the undersea goddess Nuliayok offers animals to hunters who petition her. After the kill is made, the hunt becomes a race against time. The animals must be skinned and butchered on the spot before the cold makes the carcasses stiff and unmanageable. The intestine is removed. Later, the flayed skin will be towed through the water to wash off the blood, leaving in its wake a trail of appetizing tidbits. A quota system now limits walrus hunting in the Bering Strait, but the region is under increasing scrutiny as more and more headless carcasses are being found. Indications are that these traditional hunters who use the whole carcass are having to compete with poachers who cater to an illicit market in walrus tusks. Sewing walrus intestines into waterproof clothing is an ancient, painstaking skill ignored by the younger generation. Some hides are still carefully split in two to make traditional hunting boats, now largely replaced by modern boats. Nonetheless, the walrus remains a mainstay for villages like Gamble.
The Arctic will continue on the Discovery Channel.
Don't miss All in a Day's Work, Labor Day, beginning at 4 Eastern.
Disease is on Celia's Posturepedic sleep system, designed to conform to your shape, distribute your weight evenly, comfortably. Only Celia Posturepedic has it. So for a better night's sleep, better sleep on a Sealy.
We've been telling folks for some time now about the fresh squeezed taste of Tropicana Pure Premium Orange Juice. However, there's a certain segment of the population who prefer their juice the way Mom used to make it, full of juicy bits of real orange. For those folks, there's Pure Premium Home Style. So if you like juicy bits, no other major brand comes closer to this than this, Tropicana Pure Premium Home Style. No matter which you prefer, with juicy bits or without, you just can't pick a better juice than Tropicana.
The Lexus Coupe can be equipped with a cellular phone that allows you to dial, answer, and hang up without ever letting go of the wheel. Proving once you get your hands on a Lexus, they tend to stay that way.
Most families have two dishwashers. The heavy-duty model pre-washes everything, loads it in the other model, then tackles what didn't fit. But why? With the new Maytag Jet Clean dishwasher, you don't need to wash all your dishes before you wash your dishes. It has a 6-tier racking system that exposes everything to the cleaning power of 43 powerful jets, making your second dishwasher somewhat unnecessary.
You'll get used to it.
Maytag, the dependability people.
On the next Discovery Sunday, meet the Hunters of the Sky, the hotshots of the United States Air Force, and Mother Nature's own Top Guns. First, fasten your seatbelts as host William Shatner pays tribute to our nation's airborne elite on Top Flight. And then at 10, witness the instinctive hunting prowess and amazing aerial skills of nature's winged predators on Birds of Prey. Sunday, beginning at 9 Eastern, only on Discovery Sunday.
The Arctic now continues on the Discovery Channel.
In Alaska's Bristol Bay in the lower reaches of the Bering Sea, Round Island is an important resting place for migratory animals. Seasonal walrus herds line the island's beaches, sunbathing like tourists. Virtually a paradise for the walrus. Its only predators, the polar bear and the killer whale, are not present in this area, leaving the walrus free to rest, swim, and dive in safety. Walruses seem to revel in body contact and will lie for hours in tight groups. They often become marooned on the rocks after the tide recedes. Out of the water, their small flippers seem inadequate for the formidable task of moving their enormous bulk. An adult can weigh more than 2,400 pounds. When resting on the rocks or dry land, the walrus molts as the blood moves to the surface of its skin. This turns their habitual gray color bright pink. Here at Round Island, the only thing to interrupt the walrus's leisurely sunbathing is an occasional dip, necessary to keep body temperature constant. Tusks, some recorded up to a yard long, play an important role in male dominance displays, as well as the mating rituals that will be a part of life during the winter months. For 3 months out of the year, the Pacific walrus that hauls out on Round Island lives an almost enchanted existence, recuperating from the long migratory trek that brought it this far and recovering from old wounds. The walrus shares the island with numerous colonies of migratory birds, like the black-legged kittiwake, and has to contend with such hazards as overheating in the midday sun. When it takes to the water, the walrus is suddenly transformed from an overweight, ungainly mass of fat into an agile, strong swimmer, capable of bursts of speed in excess of 20 miles an hour. When the time comes to leave the island, the walrus is well rested and ready to return to the dangers of the open sea.
The Arctic will continue on the Discovery Channel.
It's an all-new season coming this fall, only on the Discovery Channel.
This is a place of rest or a place of torment when nighttime pain keeps you awake. Get help from a name you know. New aspirin-free Anacin PM with a powerful pain reliever plus a gentle ingredient to help you sleep. So you wake up feeling fresh.
New Kellogg's Just Right versus Total.
The debate between high-nutrition cereals will begin.
Kellogg's Just Right has a new improved taste.
Total tastes the same.
Plus, we have 4 different grains, now even tastier.
Oh, my.
Not to mention our blend of juicy raisins, sweet dates, and crunchy almonds.
Well, Total has 100% of 12 vitamins and minerals plus calcium.
You got one.
Same here.
You lost one.
And 4 out of 5 people prefer our new taste.
Well, at least you know when it's a total loss.
Kellogg's Just Right. The new taste makes it even better.
The formula was developed by a surgeon. Now from the makers of Preparation H, new soothing alcohol-free cleansing tissues. They clean and refresh after hemorrhoid attacks. New cleansing tissues. From the makers of doctor-recommended Preparation H.
It just seems to be something to do with the way the brain is organized.
So the differences don't go away.
Women have failed to be men, and men have failed to be women.
We see such a different reality.
If we put our heads together the way we were designed to do, we can create a more fulfilling society.
Examine the gender of our brains, the undeniable differences of brain sex. Tuesdays at 10 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
Call Belltones for a free hearing test and you'll say, nobody notices my bell tones. Nobody notices my bell tones.
Nobody notices my bell tones.
When you wear Belltones tiny hearing aids, the only thing people notice is you, enjoying life. Only Belltone has 50 years experience and the clear voice noise filter that helps you understand voices in noisy places. Here's speech mixed with background noise. Now here's speech made clearer with Belltone's clear voice noise filter.
What are you waiting for? My Belltones don't slow me down. I'm not embarrassed by my tiny Belltones. They're almost invisible.
Now I hear everything I want to hear. Mark! Ooh, where's that come?
Call 1-800-776-7300 now and get the Belltone Guide to Better Hearing absolutely free. Call now and you'll also get this free hearing test coupon. Call today, 1-800-776-7300.
The Arctic now continues on the Discovery Channel.
The killer whale is probably the world's most adaptable marine creature. It is the only whale that is found in both the Arctic and the Antarctic. A close study has been underway for many years in the Johnstone Strait off Canada's Vancouver Island. Here, a pod of 350 whales lives year-round, feeding off the area's rich fishing grounds. Generations of fishermen abhorred the whale's presence, but they have now learned to cast their nets in front of a pod to catch salmon, trying to outrun the whales. The result has been considerably increased yields. The orca is a frequent but elusive visitor to Arctic waters, and it is almost impossible to study them that far north. Much of what we know about them in the wild has been gleaned further south, at this location, which the whales seem to treat as their own personal aquarium.
we've been studying killer whales on the coast of British Columbia for about 15 years. Initially, we wanted simply to find out how many there were, and by going out and looking at them, we realized that each animal had unique markings on the fins that we could use sort of like a natural tag to identify that animal and to follow it and to actually count the number of different individuals. We know how many animals there are. There's about 345 on the coast of British Columbia. We know how often they give birth. We know what their mortality rates are. And we know a lot about their social organization.
Killer whale fins, some nearly 2 yards high, are as distinctive as the human nose. Over the years, researchers have compiled a fin directory, which is used to identify individual members of the pod. Deformations of the fin are passed along genetically within the pod. Orca society is based on matrilineal lines with up to 3 generations of females swimming together. The research team has noted that occasionally the Telegraph Cove pods seem to offer hospitality to transient pods whose audio characteristics are quite different.
The sounds of killer whales, like other dolphins and like belugas and narwhals, are very complex sounds, and we don't fully understand what they mean to the animals yet. But we think that because the sounds are so complex that perhaps they're using them for quite sophisticated communication. Killer whales, for example, we've found have a unique dialect for every different family group. So on the coast of British Columbia, there's about 16 different resident pods, and each one has its own peculiar sounds so that you can actually identify the group from the sounds.
At the Vancouver Aquarium, John Ford works out of an office located below the waterline in the side of the orca tank. He spends much of his time studying the behavior of Hayak, the longest-held captive orca, and never ceases to be amazed at the giant mammal's curiosity and intelligence.
Well, I started working with Hayak about 15 years ago. This is Hayak here, and he's a very, very pleasant, well-dispositioned whale. We seem to have a unique relationship. He spends a lot of time viewing what I'm doing in the window, and he seems to take a real interest in what's going on in this office. I discovered a couple of years ago that he likes to look at pictures, and it's not just any pictures. He likes to look at pictures of killer whales, and he studies these very carefully. For example, I have a book here that's one of his favorites, and there's a picture I might show him. I haven't showed him this one for a while, and we'll see if he's interested in looking at this now. Hey, Hayak. Usually I just put it down here, and he has a close look at it. Sometimes he has to maneuver his body around to get his eye up close to the glass. And right now he's just moving into the right position. And now he'll put his eye down close to the window and have a look at it. He recognizes that picture, I think. I don't know how he can focus so close as he does. It's interesting because his eye is only a few centimeters from the actual book, so I think he can focus very closely. But he'll sometimes study a picture for many minutes. I think relating again to the very distinctive black and white pattern of the killer whale coloration in the photograph.
Hunting in packs, resident pods feed mostly on salmon, while transients will eat the occasional warm-blooded marine mammal like seals and the walrus. The killer label was acquired from whaling crews who reported seeing it attacking other whales, but is quite out of keeping with the orca's gregarious disposition and adaptability. With a worldwide ban on whale hunting now in force, the killer whale can roam the 7 seas at will, the only threat to its existence posed by man. Drift net fishing needlessly destroys an increasing number of marine mammals every year, as do the growing number of man-made pollutants in the Arctic food chain. Only our awareness, our vigilance, can ensure the safety of these magnificent creatures for generations to come.
Spy planes, a highly classified part of our military history. Armed with camera and film, they're enough to make the enemy shudder. Visit their secret world of aerial espionage, next on Wings.
Brought to you in part by Lexus Automobiles.
This vehicle has a number of features that make it an extremely secure place to put money. So does this one. The Lexus LS400. With the highest retained value in its class, it's like money in the bank.
The world's most comfortable mattress would be one you couldn't feel at all. That's the idea behind Sealy's Posturepedic sleep system, designed to support everyone differently, to conform to every curve, distribute your weight evenly.
Leave the familiar